59%, no? Mataas din, no?
Right.
Sizable, significant ito. And if you see it by region, you'll see that, of course, the most disagreement is with Mindanao, but the rest of the country are quite convinced that the ICC investigation must go on, no? Whether in Metro Manila, yun yung agree dyan, yung blue bars eh. North, Central Luzon, South Luzon, Visayas, you see a majority. In fact, what's interesting here is that even in Mindanao, di ba, you have 47%. Di ba? So Mindanao is not parang sometimes we imagine it's a Duterte country na lahat yan ay okay lang sa war on drugs, no? Hindi po. 47% dyan, no, nagsasabi sila din gusto nila yung ICC investigation on the war on drugs, no? So, short of a majority, but definitely very far from what is being painted as Mindanao is very supportive of the...
But I mean, it could be, I mean, we can talk about also the impeachment later. I mean, it could be also like, okay, go ahead, investigate and show how innocent and amazing our champion is, right? I mean, you could also play it that way, right? Now, being pro-trial doesn't necessarily mean, or pro-investigation doesn't necessarily mean that you think Duterte is guilty. Although I don't know, of course you have the fine print and all of that, but I'm just saying in theory, right? You can argue it along those ways. Is there also a sub-regional breakdown, like certain parts of Mindanao? Are there parts of Mindanao that are actually more amenable to the ICC investigation versus other places? Do you have a sub-regional breakdown?
Not in this presentation, Richard. No, I have to check. I have to check that yung per region talaga, no. But I would suspect, given na medyo ilang beses na namin nirarun yung ganitong survey questions, that the Davao region will definitely be different from the other parts of Mindanao. And it may actually be the case that the disagreement na nagpapataas sa Mindanao is just very concentrated in the Davao area. It could be the case, no?
Kasi it can skew the overall regional numbers, right?
Yeah. And you're right, maaaring kagaya nung kay sa impeachment trial ni VP Sara, 'di ba, na majority of Filipinos agree that it should happen, no? Baka ganun nga din na regardless, kasi if you believe that they're innocent or guilty, you want to see them, no, face the charges, no? So maaaring kaya mataas talaga dito yung yung agreement, no, kahit sa Mindanao. Pero ang mahalaga dito para sa ating mga kababayan, ito April 2025 na to, follow-up na to, no? Kasi yung kanina March 2024 ay the ICC investigation is a very important means for us to uncover the truth in the drug war, no? Yan, nag-agree dyan ng mga Pilipino, no, 61%. Kaya I'm happy to hear that, you know, you had this conversation with Chrissy Conti, and na may mga movements, may developments sa investigation. And Filipinos do support that consistently with different questions that we've asked, that they support the ICC investigation. They see it as a important way for us to uncover the truth in the drug war. And most importantly, they trust the ICC to be free and fair and to conduct a free and fair trial for PRRD. That's 66%. Nakita mo, medyo mataas na to sa mga previous numbers, no? So, there's a lot of confidence in the ICC. Kaya itong mga, maybe you can talk about this, diba? Mga movement ng kanyang lawyer. Yung isa,
wow, so Kaufman has an 11% approval rating. Trying to disqualify the judges, then prosecutor, lahat na lang.
Paano yung isa, yung nagpapanggap na lawyer ni...
Well, bring home the, huba. Ayan tayo Yan ang, that's my problem. I don't know where to put Harry in that survey. I mean, I can see Kaufman has 11% on his side, but parang, where is Harry?
Well, the last time we asked about Harry Roque, April 2025, 67% of Filipinos are saying he must return to the Philippines to face investigation.
Oh, wow. He has a high awareness pala, no? At least he's relevant. I'll give that to him. Wow, 67. So,
mukha din namang pati ang pamilya ata Mukhang ang pati pamilya Duterte, they want him home.
Pinapawin na. Bring home the,
Yes, but
Pogoante.
I think I'll end in this may isa na not to make light of our situation, and of course, we commemorate the killing of Kian de los Santos, and we are also reminded that this is a long battle, diba? And isa sa mga kinakaharapan nating challenge is also the arrest of co-perpetrators. This was not just Duterte, but there were also co-perpetrators. And I think this is the last number I will share in our nationwide survey as well. In April 2025, 61% of Filipinos say that they find it important na yung mga co-perpetrators o kasabwat sa krimen ay maaresto din at iharap sa ICC kagaya ni Pangulong Duterte. So I think I'll stop here and we can start discussing what do you think about these numbers? How do you make sense of it?
Yeah. No. I mean, sorry, we all just learned the new word, humba. I had no idea about the humba, so we had to research it kanina. I really hope people forgive us if sometimes we come off in the wrong way, but I hope people realize, using dark humor to expose the inanities, yung sobrang walang vacuous logic. I mean, I'm using English terms para hindi maging I mean, talaga walang kakwenta-kwenta mga argumento, mga excuses, mga rationalization, apologia. I think that's really one way of resisting this. Kasi, minsan, it's just so nonsensical yung mga palusot ng mga ibang kaibigan natin dyan. And I think, what's happening to Harry Roque, in a way, di ba? Hindi lang karma yun eh. Like, it just shows how preposterous is the situation na, di ba? Even Harry Roque now is basically homeless. Like, he doesn't know what to do, di ba? Na, it just tells you the gallery of rogues who have been trying to cover up for what many see as a disastrous, catastrophic policy by the former president. So I hope people realize now, when we are not trying to make light of the very reason that we keep on talking about these issues, because we feel these are important issues, but you need to use sometimes dark humor as a weapon of resistance at saka as a weapon of also expose, di ba? In-expose natin talagang walang kakwenta-kwenta yung argument nila. Because hindi naman itong issue ng IQ, sinong matalino, saan ka nag-graduate, yun ang ayoko dun sa minsan lumalabas na parang ginagawang issue ng sino matalino, hindi. Hindi, ang issue lang dito, meron bang basihan, may fondasyon ba yung mga argumento at excuses ng mga isang company yan? Wala talaga, di ba? Just like their petition against us na pinagtawanan na lang namin ng mga na-chat GPT. But anyway, Clive, going back to this, no, the reason I'm asking is, we always talk about dissonance in surveys, right? And we also talk about interrogating the numbers in surveys. So, what are the potential or somehow semi dissonances you have seen, and what are the somehow consistencies you have seen? Not only across different data points, but also between what would be a qualitative analysis of the situation and the quantitative capture of that by your surveys. Because dissonance is a reality, but it looks like it's not all the time. That over time, perhaps there's certain things are clearing out.
Yeah, I think kapag you swim behind the aggregate numbers and try to look at the breakdown, doon mo makikita yung mga iba't ibang types of dissonances, no, at siguro biases, no, ng mga kababayan natin, no. So I think one of the most important thing to remember, of course, is that yung factional politics, yung personalistic factional politics really plays a big role in public opinion, kung agree ba sila or disagree. So kapag tinignan mo yung numbers ng how about Duterte supporters, no? Those who say na supporters sila ni Duterte, do they also find it important na makuha ang justice sa mga pagpatay sa panahon ng war on drugs? Do they also agree that even ex-presidents should not be above the law? And you see na, well, more or less, mas kinakampihan nila yung mga Duterte, no? So I think yun yung isa na napaka-factional based nito na sabi natin, no, sa mga nag-aaral ng political science, no, ay conditional, no, yung support nila sa mga principles, conditional yung support nila sa justice, sa accountability, as long as hindi nito tatamaan yung kanilang sinusuportahan na political personality, no, which is of course a very problematic position, no, ng ating mga kababayan. But that's one of the biggest dissonances, no. Pag tinanong mo yan, dapat bang ikulong ang isang lumabag sa batas o pumatay, baka near 100%, no? But if you put that in a context of the Dutertes, na okay, paano kung si Duterte yan, napatunayan na may pinatay, nagpapatay, medyo bababa yung agreement. So may ganong dissonance.
I want to go to Sarah, and I know you're also under the weather, Parasite. But before I go to the Sarah numbers and approvals in light of the situation, I don't know. Alam ko may na-archive sa Sonar, may na-archive sa Senate recently after a certain joint session, but we can Ayan na naman yung archiving eh. We kind of talk about sino man pwede ma-archive din sa ICC, pinag-usapan namin kahapon yan. But let me, hindi naman digress, but let me focus on this issue, no? Adjusting aperture natin. Let's talk about identity politics. To what degree? I mean, some talk about culto, basically, right? People are forwarding me videos of people praying for a cardboard. We already saw a cardboard winning, 80-90% of the votes in a certain major city, right? We already see this cardboard popping up in different parts of Europe and all around the world. So some would say kulto lang yan, right? But ako naman, I want to be more qualitatively elegant about this. So I would say, okay, identity politics. Have you reached a point whereby a significant number of ating mga kababayan, they see their identity tied to the Duterte dynasty, basically, right? And I want to go beyond regionalism and tribalism, because regionalism is something familiar to us, especially to some of us who come from northern Philippines, right? The solid north, the Marcos loyalty, and all of those things. Although personally, I was never a Marcos supporter, but are we seeing this kind of identity politics along? So kumbaga, yung identity politics sa Pilipinas ay nag-fuse with political dynasty and regionalism, right? It kind of a weird mutation, right? Na siguro medyo, hindi naman unprecedented, but I would say with few parallels in the world, in both gravity and also in terms of, in both intensity and also in terms of endurance.
Yeah, good question, no? And actually, I'm writing, I'm co-authoring a book with a colleague from the National University of Singapore, si Dean Tulfo, also a political scientist, precisely on this question, no? And one of the major arguments that we want to put forward is that the character of political factions in the Philippines, and also consequently the identity of the voters, is a mix between, as you've said, no, yung personalistic, dynastic na affiliation, no, na nag-resonate sa kanila, but also we cannot really divorce it from ethno-linguistic na ties, no. So talagang mutually sila nagmi-meet sila, tas they mutually reinforce each other, no. Kaya so I think magandang tignan, halimbawa sa ito, galing na to sa aming latest na survey, August 2025. Let me just show you, no, yung size ng mga number ng mga Pilipino na nagsasabi kung sila
affiliation,
ba
no? Yeah.
baka Marcos, baka opposition, o none of the above. And una, key takeaway, mga easy takeaways dito ay more or less yung pinakamalaking faction ay yung Duterte's na 30%. Pero important to note that they have also we have also seen the biggest na decline, no? Sa Duterte faction.
Yeah, just to be clear, this is an elastic factional alignment, right? I mean, some would argue this is at the more upper end, perhaps, of the alignment of, let's say, the Duterte side. Because at least in the Okta survey, I know they have probably, I mean, it's a similar idea, but maybe different approach. But it went down to 15, 16, 7% at some point. So my hunch is we're looking at somewhere between 15 to 35% that can solidify behind the Duterte side. Yun nga, just to be clear, hindi ito monolithic, hindi ito parang frozen in time.
And very important also to note na pag nagbabasa tayo ng iba't ibang survey, lalo na iba't ibang grupo, what's the more important thing to look at is the trend, right? So if it's declining in Okta, if it's declining in WR Numero, then we see that there's a decline in the number of Filipinos saying na maka-Duterte ako, right? But what I want to note as well is that yung decline na to, very important to note kasi for the longest time, if you try to track also the Duterte support, lalo na nung hindi pa nag-unite yung Marcos and Duterte nung 2022 election, they hover between 20 to 25%.
Yeah.
That's more or less the Duterte, Duterte base, no? And a lot of that is from Mindanao, no? Parang sa last na count namin, mga 7 out of 10 of that actually is from Mindanao. So yun yung sinasabi ko na yes, merong affinity sa dynasty, but it's also cannot be divorced from the ethno-linguistic story, no? In fact, kapag ni-remove mo sa equation, halimbawa, in theory lang yung Mindanao voters, iwanan mo yung lahat, ibang-iba yung itsura nitong itong map na ito, no?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then you see the Marcoses 19%, na concentrated sa Luzon, no? Particularly North Luzon, yung kanilang support. And then the opposition concentrated in Metro Manila and the Bicol region, as well as some parts of Visayas, no? Especially the non-Cebu speaking parts of the Visayas, and the none of the above, no? Which is very important for intent. Ito yung and this is concentrated mostly in the Lingayen-Lucena corridor, no? So Central Luzon, Metro Manila, which makes a lot of sense kasi ito yung market voters natin, no? They are very sensitive to narratives, to campaigns, to what's being talked about, kung anong sinasabi ni Richard A. Dorian sa vlogs niya, no? They listen to it, no, to make sense of the political landscape, no? So yun, this is the parang the landscape so far, and it could
So
be
sorry. So negative 12 declines sa Duterte partisanship. So basically,
Yes.
are we saying that this is the Duterte
Negative
bump?
dollar.
My point is, this is the Duterte bump, I suppose, because April comes just weeks after the ICC arrest. Just to connect to our discussion, so the Duterte bump was really big. It's like probably 50-20% gave them, and then you have a 4% increase in the non-affiliated. That's interesting. So there's a 4% because people are saying like, ewan ko na, bahala kayo dyan, diba? Like, I'm just gonna sit this out. There's a 3% increase in the pink alignment, basically supporters of anyone, Lenny, Bam, Kiko, etc. Mamaya pag-usapan natin how if they can unify. But the loyalista base is around 1/5 of the population, but the plus 4-point increase. Baka naman dito rin medyo, I don't know, maybe BBM is probably doing something right, maybe after all, after the election and admitting na nakamali sila, marami silang kakulangan. Although the only statistically significant one I can see is really the decline in the Duterte side, and I can surmise na yun yung Duterte bump basically receding. So I won't be surprised bakit there's now an interest not only in Humba but also interest in creating all this drama around Digong, which kind of went wrong, di ba? All this fake news na kawawa na si Digong, etc. Like, I think there are people who are desperate to bring back that bump, no? That Duterte sympathy rallying effect, and obviously they're, I think, still not unified on the messaging on that, kaya it's all over the place. You hear different things from the House of Zimmerman, House of Hanilet, different thing from different sides of this debate and equation. Sara Duterte also clarifying the father is all fine and nothing is wrong. But I'm just telling people na, like, it makes sense. This numbers perfectly make sense to me. And again, thank you guys for doing this. Kasi yun yung wala sa mga tradition. I don't want to use the word traditional. Let's just say yung mga OG ng survey agencies. I'm really surprised why they didn't do it. It took Okta and then you guys to do more of this, because mahalaga eh. This is what gives us an idea about how to move forward and or whether we have moved forward at all. Yeah, please.
Yeah, and you're right, and kaya nga ako naman ang na-imagine ko ay that's why also the Duterte camp, they were so desperate to stop parang they were throwing everything to the impeachment just to make it stop, no? Because for sure they're also seeing that their numbers are going down. That it's only a matter of time kung magtuloy-tuloy yung impeachment trial, that the size of the number of Filipinos saying that they identify as supporters of the Dutertes will just consistently decline. I mean, aside from the ICC, yun yung laman ng balita during the time that this was, between April to August 2025, di ba? Yan yung kainitan din ng tungkol sa impeachment. So, I could imagine na they're also seeing these numbers, and the more that it drags on, the more that their numbers are going down. And the beneficiary, of course, are the other camps, but also yung mga mas independently minded na mga botante.
Can we talk about Sarah's number? So what you're saying is that she's not off the hook, right? She had a statistically significant also decline in numbers. So we can see also an alignment consistency between decline numbers of Duterte partisanship, pro Duterte, and also Sarah's number, right? So
Yeah.
they may have scored certain tactical victories or not scored tactical, or like they were lucky that there were certain tactical developments, let's say, but nevertheless, right? There's a significant decrease in numbers of Sarah's favorability, which tells you she's not out of the woods yet.
Yes, and kahit yung dun sa kahit sa performance satisfaction niya, let me just pull it up there's also a slight decline. Medyo mas mababa yung decline, no? Yeah, here from 50 to 47%, no? Nung April to August, no?
Mm.
So nag-decline din yan yung kanyang satisfaction, no? Pero if you tie it also dun sa yung sa decrease ng Duterte faction, itong performance assessment niya, and yung isang question na relevant would be that yung 2028 question, yung sa list of presidents, no? Of course, Sara is still the top, no? But her numbers also decline. And in fact, siya yung isa sa mga pinakamalaking nag-decline, no? Let me just find that,
Can I ask again? Satisfaction with what? With the number of travel, her mileage, her vlogs, her No, honestly, like I'm wondering, like what are
Hindi, I think the vice president is promoting the digital nomad
yun nga eh.
lifestyle.
Like anong So pwede na rin tayo ma-survey na satisfaction rating kasi ano rin naman tayo, digital nomad na rin tayo. Baka pwede na
Digital
rin.
nomad visa
Oo, padami.
tour.
Exactly. I mean, I wonder, yun nga, ano bang trabaho niya actually as a vice president? I really wonder since she resigned, and I'm still wondering what is she really doing. But anyway, let's talk about this. This is very important because you basically see the two dark horses, Bam and Bongo, now popping up in the numbers, right? So that was expected after their stellar performance. I mean, if siguro kung si Bato's neck was not on the line in the ICC issue, probably would have popped up there too because his number was very close to Bam. But whatever. I mean, no, but seriously, Bongo and Bam popping up there makes perfect sense considering the kind of momentum they're building. And also, both of them are kind of running this from the center, right? I mean, to be
Right.
honest, it's not like Bam and Bongo made like radically different policy positions during elections. And let's be honest, since elections, it's not like Bongo has been guns blazing pro Sara or pro Duterte in the same way that
Yeah.
Bam has
Yeah.
also been very cautious. I mean, he also joined the majority. I see him teaming up with all sorts of different kind of mga kung sino-sino mga vlogger dyan. Now, obviously, they're fighting for the center, right? That 30+% plus their own base, diba? So, let's talk about it. Bongo at almost 7%. That's incredible. That's really high number. He's almost tied with. He's close to Tulfo. I mean, that's crazy.
Yes. So, so you see here, syempre, nanguna pa din si VP Sara, but a very, very significant. If you look at all the names here that we've listed, siya talaga yung may clear na decline, no, in percentage point. 7. That's way above the margin of error. And if you combine it with the other findings from other questions, it's clear that medyo tinamaan talaga siya. Either nawala na yung Duterte bomb, di ba?
Yeah.
No, because of the ICC and all of their drama, but also because of the impeachment, no? Baka nga kaya talaga gigil na gigil sila to stop it because they know they're bleeding, no, when it's ongoing, no? And then you have
How dare you, Cleve? Sabi nga niya, bloodbath. She's even saying, let's have bloodbath 2.0 next year. I mean, I never doubted Sara Duterte's willingness.
parang
My doubt was somewhere else with some of our very impartial senators, right? Who are lecturing us. Ano ba trabaho daw ng political analyst ulit, Cleve? Sabi nung magaling mag-blind item. Parang gusto ko siya, ano bang trabaho ng isang senator judge ulit? Parang, But, di ba, Cleve, I think hindi updated ang kaibigan natin, hindi kasing intellectual. I'm a public intellectual. I mean, I'm a very French. I'm very Parisian, di ba? In that sense. Di nila na-gets May Camus, Sartre, Frantz Fanon vibe. Parang di niya pa na-gets, no?
tsaka you know, it's
Sige lang.
iniisip ko lang I stopped
Ingat ka, you're
listening
the
to,
president and the CEO. You have to be very careful.
no, I stopped listening to many of the senators for now, lalo na ngayon. Parang used to, it used to be an institution where you listen to their opinions and perspectives because you might be persuaded that they're
Right.
actually right, no? Ngayon, it's just really parang online trolling lang din ang dating ng iba nating mga
No,
senador.
I watch online so that I get confirmed na I was right about how wrong they were to be there. I mean, for instance, yung isa, mukhang hindi niya alam na meron yatang criminal liability mga juveniles, di ba? At last na may check, I think 2 presidents na nagpardon sa kanya. So talagang, iba talagang ano na to at may joint session pa yata yung ating mga talagang kataas-taasan na no. So iba talaga, iba talaga. So actually I watch it for entertainment and also confirmation bias. Like, yeah, I think I was really right, 'di ba? Pero magpasalamat ako dun sa isang senador dahil sa kanya, ang daming artistang natatalo. I think the artista brand has been damaged for quite some time. By the way, good morning kay Ben Tulfo. I think meron pa siyang expose na hindi pa niya Si Ben Tulfo may pinaringgan na dapat di siya number 13 eh. But I won't go there. Baka may magalit na naman, mahirap na. But may kinalaman ito dun sa sobrang maling analysis ni Ronald Llamas na hindi manalo si Aimee. So, I'm just saying, ayan, marami na ako natamaan in one sentence. Sige, let's go back to this. So, Sara is still very high, 30%, which is more or less the number she also had heading into 2022 elections, right? Lenny is holding almost exactly at the same numbers we have seen, between 10 to 15%. Rafi Tulfo is really low in yours. I mean, I saw him
Yes.
going back 2025, even 30, some would say 10% lang siya dito, and he's not too far away from, wait, Aimee and Bongo. I mean, like, this is interesting.
Yeah, and in fact, no, tama ka about kay Sen Rafi Tulfo, no. I've compared notes with Ranjit with Okta, and yun nga, no, it's showing na I think ito yung medyo outlier sa aming dalawa, no, yung kay Rafi. I think the Rafi is a lot higher in the Okta survey. Sa amin naman medyo a lot lower. So maybe we're capturing the lower limit of the support for Rafi Tulfo, no, and then sila upper, so it's between there, no?
Sige.
So sa kanilang numbers, almost close to VP Sara, no, yung kanyang preference numbers, no. And then yun nga, what's interesting here is that you have some of the Duterte aligned pa din, no, aside from Sara. So you have Senator Bongo, Senator Aimee, di ba? And sizable din yan, yung mga numbers na yan. And
Yeah.
kung halimbawa, the trend for Senator Bongo na pataas, sabi mo may momentum, no, that continues, no, I wouldn't be surprised kung nagbe-benefit siya from the decline of Sara, no, to inherit the Duterte faction, no. And then you have also sa opposition naman, medyo may mga names din dyan na hati-hati. So aside from VP Leni, you have Sen BAM-RISA, no? Si Chisba, where do we put the SP?
Wait lang, tumaas ang kilay ko. Wait lang. Biglang lumitaw. So, I can officially also call him Mr. 1%, no? But you don't want to go there. Yeah, it's like,
So yun. Yeah. Ito, and you know, there's a lot that can still happen, of course, no, between now and the 2028, no. But these are the numbers for now.
fantastic. Okay, so let's go to the analysis part. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah, please show. Yeah, the rest. Yeah. Sorry.
So here,
Mm-hmm.
the challenge here is that from the pro Duterte, you actually see that, and ito, I've also did this analysis for the Senate votes ng 2025,
Yeah.
itong May 2025, and etong preference sa election, no, ay very aligned to dun sa mga previous observations, no. So yung mga pro Marcos, halimbawa, they they can vote for, of course, they prioritize who they think is aligned most with the Marcoses, no? So you have Rafi Tulfo, Amy Marcos, no? But, kapag may
Mm.
ilan silang mga voters na kayang tumawid sa mga Duterte. So you see Sara Duterte and Bongo as well, right? 11 and 10%. The pro-Duterte is the most, the faction that's most solid, and also the most kind of like, cohesive. So you see, pag pro-Duterte ka, 72%, Sara Duterte ka na. And then the next is Bongo. And then lower numbers na for other candidates. Hindi usually madali makatawid sa Duterte camp.
Right.
For the opposition,
Yan na hindi ko magets. How is Sara Duterte number 2?
yes, what's alarming
What
is
the
that,
heck? What is that? What?
what's alarming is that you have a core na parang sa pro Duterte din, so 52% Lenny core, no? Pero the opposition voters are also voting for some na identified with the Duterte. So meron kasing mga opposition ni Marcos pero hindi opposition ni Duterte. Merong opposition ng mga Duterte pero hindi ni Marcos. So may mix, may noise in the opposition camp, na nakikita namin dun sa survey. And then you have Rafi Tulfo and Bam Aquino. And then for the independents, you see medyo nami-mirror niya yung national level estimates, no? So yun. So actually pag tinignan mo din yung boto nung May, no, a regular opposition voter might vote for will definitely vote for Kiko Bam, but might also vote for Erwin Tulfo and other Marcos aligned candidates, and some of them even Bongo. Yan. So medyo may Bongo pa sila. The pro Duterte always just Duterte. The Marcoses can vote for the Marcos aligned candidates first. Second will also vote for some of the pro Duterte candidates, and then last Kiko Bam as well. So one of the things I think na kailangan din nating i-clarify sa Philippine politics, and you know this very well, Richard, is that it's it's a lot less disciplined in terms of choices, no, according to partisanship.
I think there should be a stronger word than dissonance.
Ano?
Pro Marcos, Amy is not their number one choice, almost basically tied with Tulfo. So Amy Marcos as the admin candidate. I mean, it's like, oh my god, this is gonna be very interesting. If I'm Amy, I look at it like, wow, this is interesting. Like, I can be my brother's candidate, and then at the same time, I be Sarah's candidate, and that's. Oh, so this one actually is not a very good news for the opposition if you look at this, right? It looks like Tulfo has the greatest chance of mobilizing, kumbaga kurut-kurut from all sides to make it competitive if it goes down to Sara. I see a harder position for Lenny, to be honest, and far harder for the other. Yun nga, like, if I'm gonna base it on that, I only see Tulfo as the one capable of putting things together from independence, from obviously pro Marcos side and also opposition side.
Yeah, because Lenny is not appearing in any of the other camps except for the opposition. Sara is appearing in all, like Rafi
Right,
Tulfo.
right.
So quite competitive there. Yeah.
Wow. No, this is very important kasi conversion ang issue dito eh. And now, obviously, we can have a long qualitative and prospectus, parang about analysis about if BBM, let's say, rallies the machines and baka naman they could go behind, I don't know, a LENI-BAM-RISA, whatever. But if I just look at these numbers on the surface, it looks like there's a very low conversion from pro Marcos to pink, and almost vice versa. But then again, that puts actually Tulfo in a very interesting situation, right? He seems to be the guy who can reach. I'm looking at the numbers of independents too. Tulfo is also number 2 there, right?
Yeah.
And Lenny at
Within the margin of error.
Yeah.
Independent, right?
Yun nga eh. So, it basically, this survey, so what's fascinating is, ang baba ni Tulfo sa survey niyo kumpara sa Okta, although you said, di ba, it's a range, it's a pendulum, but at least theoretically, he seems to be the guy who can put everyone together from every side. Again, we're freezing many other variables here. But
Yeah.
just looking at this, it looks to me like Tulfo is the one, and that Lenny's gonna have a hard time getting people from the pro Marcos camp rallying behind her. Um, I'm sure this will change over time as Bam proves himself more and shows himself more. I don't know, but the fact that Bam also
But,
doesn't pop up in the pro Duterte and pro Marcos side, that also tells you like what's going on here. Yeah.
and if you imagine, halimbawa lang, if in, di ba, kung ang electoral system natin ay rank preference, you can already imagine that Rafi Tulfo's numbers will be very competitive in there, right?
Yeah.
Given na
Ma'am Dani, ano
siya sa
medyo Ma'am
preferences
Dani.
ng
Yeah.
lahat, diba? So, kaya niyang lumaban dun sa Sara preferences, for example, no? So, yeah, I think yun yung isa sa ano dito takeaway. But also that, Pro Marcos, and makita mo din to dun sa 2025, Pro Marcos is actually yung weakest yung cohesion ng faction. If you look at,
Oh,
parang if you ask me
taas
the
ang
question
onshore nila,
of,
no? 13% yung onshore nila.
yes, and if you ask me the question na, if you're a pro Marcos supporter nung May 2025, how likely are you to vote for the pro Marcos aligned or Marcos endorsed candidates, no? And the question is, well, close to zero. So it's not very statistically significant that you are likely, no? But for the pro Duterte and the opposition, at least may statistical significance. So pag pro Duterte ka, you're likely to vote for Duterte aligned senators. Pag opposition ka, you're likely to vote for opposition senators. So mas may cohesion dito. Makita nyo naman dyan na 52% at least, no, very, very significant core sila dun sa opposition saying Lenny pa din yung preference nila. So, there.
Right. I mean, obviously we can also look at permutations, right? Because it's almost certain that not all of these people are gonna run, right? Although if that happens, that's gonna be a big surprise. But so you can have permutations, right? Like if hindi natatakbo si Tulfo, saan transfer? Kung hindi tatakbo si Sara, saan magta-transfer? I can clearly see Bongo moving also up very fast. So Bongo is the other one I can see also has a huge chance of bumping up. If Sara doesn't run, Bongo comes. But I can see a three-way race of Bongo, Tulfo, Lenny if Sara doesn't run, right? But then again, will Bongo be the one? Yung mga ganun. So that's why itago na lang natin sa pangalan na Tangere Survey or Tangere or whatever. Sila may mga ganyan sila, di ba? Ano yung permutations niya? Kasi kami ni Ranjit, pinag-usapan namin for instance, sa kanila, although he couldn't say the full thing kasi private commission yan, parang, I mean, Sara is a strong one. Risa Tulfo is a very strong one also for them. Interesting, very interesting. So, yun din, di ba? So, again, there are also permutations-based analysis just to tell people that there are different ways to approach this. Kasi baka sabihin nila, ayan na naman, Tulfonatic na naman si Darian. Ayan na naman si Darian, Torre, Tulfo, ayan na naman. Puro mga letter T.
Sinasabi sa'yo, Tulfonatic ka?
Yeah, Trillianatic, Tulfonatic, Torrenatic, lahat ng letter T Triple T, di ba? Tulfo, Torre, lahat, Trillanes. Lahat ng mga yan, kaibigan natin mga yan. No, but kidding aside, di ba? So, that's why I'm saying it's very helpful also to look at that. But now let's also look at the regional breakdown kasi mahalaga rin yan. We talked about that, yung identity politics merging with regionalistic politics and all of that.
So, and, eto, parang ano din, no, yung by regional breakdown naman, no, para as if it's not complicated yet, no, let's complicate it more, no?
Sure.
So you see here na in Metro Manila, Visayas, and Mindanao, and the rest of Luzon as well, you've got a sizable number for Sara Duterte. Pero may mga differences na in terms of the strength, no? Halimbawa, sa Metro Manila, it's a toss between Sara and Bongo, right? And then of course,
Wow.
Lenny
So
has
Metro Manila is DPS?
lower and upper limit, but also Rafi Tulfo, parang
Right.
ano pa, no? Ano pa sila dyan? Jumble, no? The same can be said for the rest of Luzon. And remember, most of the votes are in Metro Manila and the rest of Luzon. So, dikit dyan si Sara and si Lenny, halimbawa, no? And then, the next second would be Rafi Tulfo. In the Visayas, you've got a competition between Sara and Leni. And then in Mindanao, you see ito dito, yun yung ano, no, na-deliver. Ito yung
Yeah.
sinasabi ko na if I just go back one slide, oops, no. Okay, yan. Here, you see 31% and 13% Sara and Leni, no? Kapag hindi ko po sinasabi na alisin yung Mindanao, no? But for the purposes of looking at how it will
Yeah.
be
Just to isolate the data. Yeah. Data points. Yeah.
remove Mindanao, what will happen is that Sara will be around 21% and Leni will be around 19%. So then it becomes a very competitive toss-up between the two, right?
So ganun
Kasi
kalakas
if you
yung
go back naman to
solid
the-
South factor. Yeah. Yun yung, yeah.
Yes. Yung South factor ni Sara, 66%. No? So,
Yeah.
and you see that no other area, no other region delivers that way. At least this early, no? Kasi sure ako naman na closer to the 28, some of these areas will mas mag-consolidate na sila to their specific candidate. But
So just to be clear,
China-
so Mindanao is not the biggest voting bloc, but it has the highest coherence, right? If I'm not
Yes.
mistaken, depending on how we even count,
mga 20%, 23%.
yeah, and also depending on how we count, for instance, Pangasinan ba kasama sa solid north or no, all? Parang mas malaki pa rin ang Mindanao yata, no? Parang it looks like solid south is stronger than solid north based on some numbers I've seen. Kasi,
Yes, especially kung
Yeah.
coherence, no? So, pero dahil nga mas maliit naman talaga yung Mindanao, the chance of another Duterte presidency rests on making sure that they get votes from outside Mindanao as well.
and they're very competitive. Bongo is very competitive in Metro Manila.
Yes.
And he's also competitive in Visayas. I mean, at least he's there. He's well, not that yet, but if Sara is out, she has 31%. I mean, the other lesson I can get from this, Bongo is very competitive. He also comes out very competitive in your surveys. Yeah.
Yes. And here, kung nakita natin kanina dun sa mga faction, parang hindi lumalabas si Leni sa iba. Dito makikita mo, lumalabas siya. Except lang sa Mindanao. So,
Yeah.
may perspective then that if she could travel and she can travel, she shows up in these different regions, Metro Manila, rest of Luzon, and the Visayas, where the majority of the votes are. And then also Rafi Tulfo, yung difference ni Leni and Rafi is that Rafi suddenly also appears in Mindanao, where Leni is not present.
Yeah, very, very important. Yeah, again, I'm just also giving people some idea about. Kaya it's so hard to say sinong viable talaga eh. Diba? Like these numbers, the more we put variables, the more actually it gets confusing, right? The more it shows na napaka-fluid yung picture, diba? Kaya I like these kinds of discussions because it just tells you, while it's not premature, nor I would say unreasonable to talk about sino dapat standard bearer, ganyan-ganyan, it is absolutely, I think, questionable and doubtful to say, ay, alam namin ito yung competitive or not. Nevertheless, it looks like Bongo has a pathway, Tulfo has a pathway, but then again, depends also who runs, who doesn't run. If Sara stays in, I just don't see a path for Bongo, right? If Sara moves out, then it scrambles the game, right? Becomes very competitive. If Leni does not come into the race, that creates another dynamic. Does it go to BAM? Does it go to RISA, right? So, I think what is clear, nevertheless, is how should I put it? Without some sort of alignment between other non-Duterte groups, it's hard to see how they can beat Sara, though. If Sara's, I mean, even if she comes down to 25 or something like that, she's still very competitive. So some sort of alliance among the other groups has to be made. Again, it's not 100% conversion, right? But if you can get 70, 80 from one other side to bring other side, then win around half of the independents, something like that, then you can put together a coalition. So basically, what I'm saying in short is you cannot beat Sara with 10 to 15 million votes. You need a bit more than that, to put it mildly. Yun lang. I'm just being honest. I'm just being brutally honest because I think some people are thinking if they just rerun the numbers of Lenny in 2022, this will be. I don't. I just don't see that in the numbers. It seems you need 20, 25, 30 million votes maybe this time around.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. And as we've seen here, we have to match, no, at least the other camps have to match the cohesion in the discipline of the Duterte faction. That means na if we say, and all the other groups will be sticking together, they have to vote for each other. otherwise, no, you lose your power, no. And I think that's the best chance, no, against halimbawa a potential another Duterte presidency. I mean, looking at just the numbers and the the sooner, no, I think the sooner that mag-consolidate yung other camps into a specific iteration, then also the sooner that the voters may be trained to consolidate as well. Kasi yun nga, you said that the conversion is not 100%, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that now we will just let go of the conversion, di ba? That means only
Yun nga
that
like it's
the
very
conversion is
nuanced.
part of the
Exactly.
project, di ba?
So what I'm saying is, okay, having said everything I said about fluidity of this, I think nevertheless there are almost, if not iron loss, there's some bronze loss here, right? Which is there's no way to beat Sara alone on her own on a one-to-one basis if you're just gonna rely on your own core base. I just don't see that happening. So the number one thing that I'm seeing from all the numbers that you cannot beat Sara just with your pink base or your loyalist base. Period. It's number one. I just assuming Sara stays in this race, right? And then the number two thing is conversion matters. So if you're going to be the unifying candidate, who has the highest conversion power, right? Can Tulfo get enough from the other side to solidify? Can Lenny get enough from the other side? So those will be the questions we have to ask, right? But the final question I want to ask you actually, and for our discussion, which kind of echoes our earlier discussion, is okay. So let's talk about consolidation. For me, the number one rule in consolidation is avoiding conflict, right? Like the number one rule is avoid fighting among each other.
It's not really coming from you, Richard Darian.
Wait, I think you're not updated. Since August 1, 7 p.m., I've been the man of unification and consolidation. May time mark. Like, biglang, hey, Darian, calling for... No, because I'm looking at all the numbers, I say like, oh, no, like, there's no chance. Like, this is not gonna work, my friend. Like, no, and I also realized things are getting very toxic, eh. Naging sobrang toxic na yung mga back and forth. So I felt, we might go down a very dangerous line here. So, ikaw, what is your read, Cleve? Like, what is the healthy, smart way for supporters of Riza, Lenny, Bam, whoever, all of these people who are thinking there should be the standard bearer of the pink? How do you think they should move forward?
Yeah, I think more and more I am taking the position of radical solidarity, and what that means to me is that radical solidarity is not only okay, we are moving as one and trying to move as one, but also having the patience to move as one.
Yeah.
Kasi as we can see, we're not really a cohesive force, right?
No, we're not.
And we come from different backgrounds, and our voters, our constituencies, also come from different backgrounds, right? Kaya moving forward as one and moving with them as one will take a lot of work and will take a lot of mistakes, right? So I think that patience to
Sorry,
me
guys,
with
I
each
thought may
other
internet
can
problem
be
ako, kaya...
operationalized with the way
Yeah.
that how we raise
But I think it's on
disagreements
Cliff's
with each
side.
other,
Oo.
that
Hindi ko alam kasi
to
yung
give
bandwidth kung
each
kaya.
other a lengthy or
Yeah.
very expansive benefit of the doubt, no? Kasi there's an enemy out there, no, that we must dedicate our resources and all of our attention to, no, in defeating that. So parang ganun lang, no, and because we need to build the numbers, and if you look at the story of those who made it this Senate elections, lalo na yung mga top senators, no, Bongo delivered the base plus nakatawid sa hindi nila base. Bam Aquino delivered the base plus nakatawid sa hindi nila.
But it's a Senate race, no? That's my point, eh. people forget, iba yung Senate race eh. Pwede ka makisuyo dyan. This one, you can only choose one. And I think the
Okay.
level of polarization will be different. Like the 2025 election was the safest election I've seen, which is the most incredible thing. I mean, the way the candidates minus, I don't know, Tolentino at the last moment,
Nothing has been said.
right, the way they insulated it as if there's no all-out Cold War double level, right, as I have explained it, like that was a political like really magic. I that one I really got wrong. That one I like. Wow, the way they insulated it. Although I'm sure that some people didn't want their TikTok accounts to go weird too, so they didn't say anything about West Philippines. You know, okay, fine, everyone played, but you cannot do that in 2028. It's just zero sum na siya. You just choose one presidential candidate, and I just don't see how this is not gonna be a bloodbath. Because if you're Duterte camp, you're gonna say, binudol tayo ng mga Marcos, nagsama ng mga dilawan at saka mga loyalista, ito na yung time natin, di ba? If you're pink, ay wala kaming masabi diyan sa mga loyalista, pero talaga itong mga ang kalaban ka. Eh kung loyalista, hindi namin sinasabi na nag-team up kami sa, it's gonna be very different. It's absolutely different beast altogether. So, as I said, Bam and Bongo are there because they played the game very smartly from the center. But if they run for the presidency, it's gonna be different ball game too, right? So I just want to put that on out there because I think people are also not appreciating that fact. Eh. It's gonna be a different beast.
I think that's important to clarify what the landscape is. No?
Yeah.
And that's part of, I think yun din yung isa sa challenge nung consolidating or unifying the opposition because there's may iba't ibang diagnosis of what the 2028 landscape will be. I know that some forces are expecting that it's going to be super fragmented and because of that, it's just a battle between the biggest minority, right?
Yeah.
If I have 22%, that might be enough kasi
Ramos.
fragmented
That got
naman eh.
yeah, that got Ramos in. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
So the Ramos model, yan ang expectation. And because that's your expectation, you behave differently towards allies, di ba? You probably are more arrogant and you probably don't really have the intention to unite with others because this is the model you expect. That's the diagnosis of 2028 landscape. And then, so there are many other diagnoses, but what I think is most important is to shape that landscape and not wait for it to turn it to whatever it is, no? I think the biggest mistake would be to just wait, magbangayan, and then magugulat na lang tayo that the landscape has been shaped for us rather than we've actively shaped it. Because, as early as now, if some forms of coalescing and moving as one and bringing together numbers, that also forces the other camps to rethink what they will be doing, right? Oh, wag na si Sara kasi si Sara, yes, may baluarte pero polarizing. Baka si Bongo na lang kasi si Bongo kaya dali ng baluarte but kaya tumawid, no? So, rather than, we just try to anticipate what they will do and we adjust to parang gano'n, no? But I think that the effort again to practice that radical solidarity, hopefully, of course, easier said than done, di ba? Tao lang tayong lahat, no?
Yeah, but I think you have to really, isampal mo yung numbers, di ba? Parang coalitional politics is the only way. That is the only game in town. Unless you're Sara because you've already established that coalition. You have 10 years to build that. But for everyone else, it's basically coalitional politics. And then for Bongo, is hoping someone doesn't run, right? So for Bongo, it's a question of are you going to capture that coalition or not, right? You're second in line, right? For the rest, you have to build that coalition. Diba? I just don't see it so kaya if coalitional politics is the only game in town, you cannot afford the certain things, right? You cannot afford being purist, you cannot afford being exclusionary, you cannot afford being basically I would say complacent na ito nang base ko, kaya ko na konting na lang pwede na yan. And hope is not policy nor strategy, right? Because let's just hope Sara will not. That doesn't work. Having said that, let's end on a slightly more interesting note. Let's put on our political sociology hats. So with Vice Ganda showing up again in Showtime.
Interesting
It is an interesting situation. I'll tell you my own reading on this, and I want to really get your read also because you can wear many hats on this issue, right? For me, the value of what Vice Ganda has done is parang she's normalizing, right? Making fun of some would have thought as too scary to assault back in the day, or too, I would say, sacrosanct, or like, or you know what I'm saying, like. And the way she's also making all this, nagka-comeback siya, di ba? Even with Marcoleta, even the next day, reklamo, di kayo like, for me, I think that's the value of what Vice Ganda is doing as a kind of a really super mainstream figure. But the second thing I would say is also the fact that she used to be a Duterte supporter. I think at least that's my read. And for her to come this far, that also shows that there's a kind of a kind of coordinates of redemptive politics imagination, if I can put it that way. Kaya nga sabi ko kay Cayetano, I'm sorry, I'm a public intellectual. Look at how I talk. I'm basically the Camus of our Just kidding. But before before I get bashed myself, sabi ko na iba, Richard, ito na nga yung chance mo para maging sympathetic character ka na, naging martyr ka na ng freedom of expression, tapos sisirayan mo na naman sa mga French Parisian intellectual balahura mo. Okay, let's end on the Vice Ganda note. So, Cleve, what is your read of this whole Vice Ganda episode? Am I overreading into this? I mean, what's going on there?
You know, when it comes to Vice Ganda, I'm just really reminded of this long tradition in Philippine politics
Right.
that the role of satire, parody
Right.
in political criticism, di ba? Parang, sorry, ano pati mga American colonial period pa hanggang sa at present, right? Na it hits the masa so well, it resonates with the masa. It pulse to ng masa. So, ako, when I see Vice Ganda and doing that, no, na ang naisip ko ay nararamdaman niya that also the pulses of the masa is shifting because one of the talents of a comedian is, di ba, parang alam mo na maglaland, yung maglaland.
Yeah.
Kakagatin, maglaland. So, ibig sabihin, if you will, ang political reading ni Vice is that
Yeah.
she can make fun of the Dutertes, right?
Yeah, she's a thermometer. She's a kind of like, I think we have crossed the threshold whereby medyo fair game na sila. Like they're not untouchable. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. And napaka-important no na pwede na silang pagtawanan. Pwede na din silang kutsain, no? But also, because one of the criticisms, valid, invalid, empirical or otherwise, na mga anti-Duterte, mga ano lang yan, mga elitista and all, no? But you cannot say that Vice Ganda elitista, no? Ito ay, as a phenomenon, Vice Ganda is really a product of masa culture, has been embraced by masa. So, magandang makita yung relationship na gano'n, na nakakatawid siya ng sobra-sobra doon sa ganong klaseng klaseng audience, no? And then that lastly, no, I think diba, and lastly na grabe yung pikon nila doon sa parang the way that they responded to Vice, no? Pikon na pikon sila, no?
Well, some would say complete lack of self-awareness, if not another instance of hypocrisy. Like, do you really want to go? Pakita tayo ng resibo. Alam mo yung joke ng ilabas ang resibo ng mga joke na sobrang offensive na ginawa ng kampo nyo, di ba? Ilabas.
Yeah, and nakakatawa kasi increasingly papakita na halimbawa si Baste, di ka naman pala. Duwag-duwag ka naman pala.
Chicken man.
Oo. Tapos ito, talaga ba? A joke?
Yeah.
You can't take a joke, di ba?
Yeah.
Parang, I guess na, na re-reveal talaga yung emptiness ng Duterte politics na, and how they have gone so far, no? From what they used to at least mobilize and represent, before, no? So, naisip ko na, di ba, parang panahon ni Pinoy, unfortunately, I think, yung mga memes na pinagtatawanan siya, they were really influential in bringing down the public reputation.
Yeah, BBM too, di ba? All these attacks on BBM. All this, I mean,
Yeah.
same din, di ba? So, kasi ang power kasi ni Digong was, he was the jester himself eh. Di ba? Digong
Yes.
could make fun of himself. Kaya ang lakas niya eh. Kaya nga nagkaroon siya ng Teflon effect. It's not because he's amazing. It's because he knows psychology, right? So, unahin na kita pare, bago mo ako yan eh. Pagtawanan ko ng sarili ko, kaya nga nadi-disarm yung kalaban eh. Galing ni Digong eh. Di ba? So, it takes a vice ganda maybe to go against that. Kasi jester to jester na to eh, di ba? Kung magkagana, labanan na ito ng jesting eh, di ba?
Di ba, ang Vicente Rafael, di ba, the sovereign trickster. Ano
Right.
kayang tawag natin kay Vice, no? This is a good observation, no?
Right.
Jester to jester.
Siya
And
sovereign
maybe-
jester, yung isa sovereign trickster, yeah.
and maybe that really is the antidote, di ba? Baka nga baka that's the way to the hearts and minds of Filipino people, di ba? Humor again, and to make fun of the Dutertes, di ba? After all, that work with ERAP, that work with Pinoy as well, no? So it may be really something that would also work. So we need more. We need more.
No, I
of those-
completely agree. You know, actually, that applies to Filipinos of all socioeconomic classes, yung power of humor. You don't know how many conyotic people I've met na who come and say, I love your discussion with X, Y, Z. And then biglang, pasend pa rin ng regards kay Ronald Llamas. Like, kahit mali yung analysis, kahit, you know what I'm saying? Like, why? like, after saying all, like, I appreciate your data-driven, ganyan, and then biglang, uy, pero hype muna kay Ronald Llamas. Or ganyan. See, yun ang power ni Ronald Llamas eh. Like, he uses humor, spontaneity. Doon mo makita yung power yun eh. It's very important in politics. And to be honest, the last conversation I had with President Pinoy, I told him, I said, I felt your read of Philippine politics was too much Merkel then rather it should have been more Berlusconi, if not Macron, right? Or something like that. Because we're a Latin country. It doesn't work. What works in certain Scandinavian, social democratic, Germanic, Nordic, whatever, it doesn't work here eh. Kasi gusto ng tao, spontaneity, humor, self-deprecation, etc. It's a very different political culture. Kaya I always go back to political culture. Kaya I wanted to ask you. But I cannot end without also asking about Harry Roque, because he's now a social phenomenon. Right? What does Harry Roque's quote-unquote interregnum Twilight Zone situation?
What I wanted to say is that Vice Ganda is making anti-Duterte politics
Cool, yeah.
And to be cool, to be in the right vibe, to be good vibes is very important in politics, no? Cool, di ba?
Yeah.
She's making it cool again, no? And that's a really a big thing. So if it used to be napaka-cool maging Duterte, kaya hindi naman nag-a-apply ang reason because they didn't want a debate, di ba? Basta cool kami, mga DDS kami.
Yeah.
So if the reverse is happening, that
Yeah.
DDS hindi kayo cool, pikon talo kayo, you can't
Yeah.
get jokes, duwag kayo, then you see a reversal, no? May mga na dito, no? May mga Gramsci.
No, and that applies also to why Sara is more vulnerable than her dad, right? Because she lacks also that spontaneity and all. And again, this has nothing to do with gender. I would say the same thing about Baste. But yung mga children niya, they lack that. Baka si Kitty, I don't know. Kitty seems a little bit more quote-unquote cool, right? Although we can talk about what kind of cool. Ikaw yung nasa Lasal, so maybe you can tell me more about. But you get what I'm saying, right?
Kala ko siya yun, kala ko bumisita sa Senado kasama sa
Ayan na naman tayo. Baka meron bang indirect contempt din sa Senado? Baka tayo. Pero, ang alam ko si Ronald Llamas, persona non grata sa Senado. Ayaw siya ni Kilay. Talagang galit na galit. So, I think he's unofficially unwelcome dyan. So, shoutout sa mga staff sa Senate, among others, na pinasok tayo, medyo spontaneously almost. Thanks sa mga kaibigan natin who got us through. May mga DDS na nagpipicture sa akin sa kantin ng Senado. Ang dami akong trolls pala eh. Oh my God. Parang nangyari dun sa Hague na pinipicture ako from Malaya. Andyan si di ba? Alam mo na. Alright, on that note, I hope, Cleve, I brought smiles and energy also to you. As you said, good vibes is always beautiful, di ba? I mean, it's good vibes is everything, right, Cleve?
Yes, and I hope that we've spoken of solidarity here. I hope that people like me, people like us are in complete solidarity with your fight against the contempt of court charges against you. we're here with you to I hope that you continue. Of course, you will continue to stand your ground, diba? For freedom of speech, academic freedom, no? So, yun, no? I hope that this is the practice of that solidarity that we're talking about, no? One of us gets attacked, we should fight back all together. Yeah.
Well, on that expression of support, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Cleve. I had to put on my the martyr of the cause, the fighter for freedom of expression kind of demeanor. Nakita mo yung picture namin yan, ang galing, no? Like, ganun
I
ako.
saw that.
That's the Illustrado signature. Yeah, but on that self-deprecating, no, unahin ko na bago sabihin, ito na naman si Konyo, ito naman si... Unahin ko na kayo, don't worry. This is my Digong Konyo edition. Unahin ko, bago niya akong pagtawanan, I'm gonna do it already. Ayun naman si Richard, talking about himself and all of that. Anyway, Cliff, thank you so much for that, kapatid. That was really, really, really amazing. I really enjoyed it. I know both of us are exhausted, where people can already see that. But I think we did justice, right, to your hard work, data, and analysis. At sana maintindihan ng tao saan tayo galing when we say certain things. Hindi ay ito'y dahil mahal lang naman ito isang kandidato or hate. Now, may basihan naman, may siyensya naman po dito di ba? Hindi naman ito kwentong barbero. So thank you so much, Cliff, for another really informative, data-driven analysis, and looking forward to doing more of that. And looking forward to doing another version of yung Tatlo Tayo ni Dino, that Real Talk
Yes.
Republic. That was really good. That really resonated. Hindi nangyari yung trial,
That works,
but that was kind of a simulation, right?
Yeah, that works I think we complement each other a lot.
And Cleve, last point,
Okay.
is there
Maraming salamat, Richard.
are there things that you want people to check out? Where can they see your surveys, your data, your analytics, your works, both as an academic and also the CEO, president of a major survey agency in the country?
Yes, so we are releasing survey results by now, no? Every week in the WR Numero pages, no? Social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Do look for the WR Numero page. We always highlight the latest developments in the social-political landscape of the country, no? And as I've mentioned, I'm working on a book with Dean Dulay. The book is on the Filipino voter. We want
Right.
to finally synthesize all that we know about the Filipino voter, so that, you know, professionally as political scientists, we contribute to the scholarship, but also as Filipinos, we have something to read, so that we can work together as we face our challenges, the challenges of our time, 2028 and beyond.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
on your sideline of sartorial fashion, wala ka bang ano dyan? I mean, it helps with stress. People don't understand how much these things help us. If women have makeup, men have sartorial peacocking, right? To
I'm just
distress.
happy that I don't see Sal Panelo anymore on TV and in meetings. Medyo horrendous fashion choices.
Anti-fashion ang kanyang ano. Oh. Dadaist ang tawag ko dyan. Dadaism. Yun ang version ng fashion na dadaism. Yung like, you invert all the rules of color and combination. And
Diba? In the global fashion community, Filipino names are emerging, diba? We are starting to be respected in that as
Yeah.
well. Wag na muna, magtago-tago muna si Sal Panelo. Masira ang image natin.
Yeah. But shout out to Heart Evangelista for putting us on the map. Sinasabi lang mga ibang kaibigan. But yung mga billionaires around the world, kilala na siya sa sobrang yung mga nakakataas kilay na kagandahan ng kanyang fashion and other accessories, right? So we'll keep it on that. No comment na ako beyond that. But no, I mean, Pia, Heart, more power to them. I don't know about their dynamics, but I'm glad that they're more and more Filipinos who are putting us on the map. And kudos to you also, Cliff, for putting the Filipino sartorial aesthetics and as an intellectual, Parisian style. Let me also say thank you so much for keeping the threshold a bit above Sal Panelo. All right? Thank you so much. God bless. And have a lovely weekend. Salamat, brother. Thank you so much, guys. Maraming salamat. Pasensya, I thought my internet something, so I had to turn off yung Facebook part. But thank you so much again for all of your love and support. Exactly as we promised, we brought you all of these different interesting discussions, guys. including discussions that have to do with the ICC kahapon lang with Attorney Christian Aconte. So please check it out. Na-upload na natin, and also ito naman about permutations and dynamics. So I really suggest you check this episode and episode natin with Prof. Ranjit Rai para mag-gets nyo saan kami galing when I say coalitional politics is really the only game in town, right? On that note, maraming salamat. Thank you so much for all your support and all. And there are gonna be new features also dito sa YouTube about parang members first, etc. So please don't forget to subscribe and support us. And yes, may utang pa ako sa inyo dun mga jacket and all of that. But don't worry. We'll figure it out. Maraming salamat. Magpahinga muna ako. God bless and talk to you soon.